Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Victor.
Yep, and my name is Mark.
And today we're going to be introducing you to some basic note-taking skills that we use in Simul, almost in all of our lessons. So first of all, a couple of questions about why exactly we take notes. And first of all, well, why do we take notes as we listen?
Well, basically, information can only be accurately retained for just a few minutes. If you can note down some key words, it will often help you to remember the other connected details and clearly organize information that we hear.
Okay, and as you know, if you watch any news reports, it's impossible to really remember everything that you hear. So you really do need to take notes. So the next question is, what do we need to do as we take notes?
Well, basically, when you're listening and taking notes at the same time, you have to be selective about what you write down and what you note down. So basically, it's key words, okay? And developing your note-taking skills will help you do this.
And as you noticed, when Mark said key words, he said that word louder, and there was a little bit of a pause before he said the word. So, generally when we hear important information, the word will be a little bit louder, a little bit more stressed, and sometimes there will be a pause before the actual key word or the key information. So we have to choose what we actually take notes on. It's a good skill, and you can develop it with practice. So the final question is, how do we actually take effective notes?
Well, we've got some ideas coming on the next few pages about taking notes in class in a more effective and efficient way. Hopefully, these ideas will help you to get more information down on paper and help you to remember what you listen to.
All right, so let's have a look at some of these examples of note-taking ideas. So first of all, symbols, as you can see, are often very common words, common nouns, currency, percentages, meters squared. We often just write a particular symbol to represent that word. And of course, the other important point, very useful actually, is for, certain words, certain names of organizations or names of people, we really don't need to write out the full word or the full name. So for example, the Liberal Democratic Party becomes the LDP.
And the European Union becomes EU. And for something like public relations, which is again very common, you can just put PR.
So abbreviations I think are very useful, particularly when you hear well-known names and names of organizations. The other tip, and I think this is also very useful, is the idea that you don't need to write out the full word. So you sometimes only need to write a part of the word, and it could be the first syllable to help you to remember the rest of the word, or maybe you can drop the vowels and only have the consonants. So you're basically reducing the word down to a minimum.
Just a couple, 2 or 3 letters, really. That's what you're really aiming for.
And this will help you to remember the rest of the word. Now, of course, these are notes you take as you listen. So really, you are helping your memory, helping you to memorize key information later on after you've finished listening. Okay. So we're going to show you an example on the screen. And this is one example of particular notes using some of the ideas that we talked about. Spend a couple of minutes looking at it and try to read the information, try to understand the information, and see if you can figure out the full words or the full information. So let's have a look at the actual sentences. All right, Mark.
So, first of all, you've got 2011 was a significant historic and turning point in the retailing industry.
And this was the intersection of two lines on the chart behind me, which had been converging since the early 2000s.
And so you can see the lines are now heading in opposite directions.
Okay, so those are the full sentences. And if you actually listened to this in a presentation or a news report, you would get most of the information down, particularly the keywords, by using some of the examples that we outlined to you. Okay, so let's talk about the content of the note-taking that we're going to listen to, a recording, actually a presentation. And as you noticed in the note-taking example, it's something to do with retailing. Okay, and let's have a look at the chart on your screen. Spend a couple of minutes just looking at it and try to guess the information that you can see. All right, Mark.
So basically, this is looking at two trends, one for e-commerce sales and the other for department stores. And as you can see, on the vertical axis, it tells you how many billions of dollars, and on the horizontal axis, it shows you the year. So as you can see, round about 2011, where e-commerce sales overtook department store sales, and e-commerce sales continue to rise, and department stores are slowly declining.
So notice the word convergence, where the two lines crossed, I think around 2011. So really, the blue line is obviously a story of great success. E-commerce sales, online stores have obviously been very, very strongly, steadily and strongly increasing over the past several years, while department store sales are a story of, failure, a gradual decline, which is probably continued in the next couple of years. Okay, so that will complete part one. Okay, we have introduced to you some reasons why we take notes, and also giving you some examples of note-taking to help you.
So please join us for part two.
Okay, so part two will actually be the presentation, which will focus on the chart that we have just talked about. Okay, so see you in part two.
Okay, goodbye.